Peace, everybody. It's your boy Trey the Creator. Welcome to Creators Corner. Today is November 12th, 2020, and again, welcome. This is, I believe, is week 8, so that's 2 months of Creators Corner. I want to say shout out to everybody who has subscribed to the channel and who has been supportive of the channel. We recently reached 100 subscribers. Again, thank you to everybody who has subscribed and continues to support. If no one knew, I celebrated a birthday this past weekend. I turned 24. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really do too much, anything, you know what I'm saying? I went to work, you know what I'm saying, like most people should. You know, it's just another day. But I want to say thank you to everybody who, you know, wished me a happy birthday. Appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, let's get into the video. So what we gonna talk about today, because some news came recently. I'm a little bit late on talking about it, but you know, it is what it is. It's still hot on the press, you know what I'm saying, due to everything that's going on. Joe Biden has become, well, not has become, apparently won the presidential election. Man, where do I want to start with this? By the way, this video is not going to be that long. Probably going to be like 30 minutes, 45. It's not going to be that long. But, yeah, Joe Biden won, and Kamala Harris is going to be his so-called vice president. There's no secret on this channel that I am neither a supporter of the Democratic or Republican Party, so I hold no bias, or I hold no grudge towards a party, or I don't have any, you know what I'm saying, alignment with any party. I'm a free thinker. I believe black issues are bipartisan. Both parties play a role in black issues, and I'm one who believe that, you know what I'm saying, both sides are just two wings on the same bird. So I don't look at them as, I believe I take them as one is the same. They work together to basically dismantle black communities. But let's talk about this, because Joe Biden is the president-elect as of right now. And I first want to start off with, where do I want to start off? I guess I'll start off with Van Jones. Man, what can I say about this nigga? Van Jones. First of all, you know, I understand some people are not as aware, or better yet, just not as informed as, you know, maybe like someone like myself is on America. So I kind of sometimes have to give some people the benefit of the doubt when it comes down to their ignorance, but I just cannot ignore the idiocy and the stupidity of this man to get on national TV crying because Joe Biden won the presidential election. Like, come on, dude. Like, he's talking about he can be a more, you know, his kids can grow up in a safer environment because Trump's out of office, and this is a great day because I'm a black father, and I'm listening to this nigga talk, and I'm looking at the crocodile tears, and I'm like, this nigga here needs to get an Oscar award for these fake ass tears. Some people bought it. I'm not gonna say, you know, some people bought the shit, but I did not buy that. We as black people need to stop putting on shows for white people. This man is on a white owned network in front of a white man with a bunch of white viewers shedding tears because another white man got elected in office. Like, the stupidity of that. Like, and not to mention, like I said, I'm not sitting here co-signing Trump, but I could have swore Joe Biden has done more damage to the black community than Trump has. He locked up a lot of people, but we just ignore that because his racism is not as blatant or as in the open as Trump's. So I to me, that's just retarded for us to be on him to be on national TV crying, talking about he feels that he can, be somewhat of a safer, or not safer. What the fuck was the words this nigga used? Because he used a bunch of crazy ass, silly ass, and stupid ass words, talking about he feels that he can breathe again. What? Like, this nigga talking about he can breathe again as a man. But I tell people all this the time, didn't all of these police shootings start under Obama's watch, and he didn't do shit about it? So why didn't nobody say that then? But because now that Trump's out of office, now he can breathe again. Nigga, why are you talking about some of us felt like we were underwater? Underwater, nigga? Like, we've been underwater. If we're gonna look at it that way, we've been underwater since we arrived on the shores of America. So I didn't understand what the hell he was talking about, because more open racist is no longer in office, and now we have someone who goes back to regular racism, which is stab you in the back racism. That to me, that's stupid. You understand what I'm saying? And I've seen a bunch of Negroes defend this shit, and I'm just like, all y'all niggas is lost. And like I said, some people are unaware, but sometimes it gets a little annoying. You understand what I'm saying? When you see people get so emotional over a massa picking. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I forgot what the movie was. It was some slave movie. I think it was 13 Years a Slave or some shit like that. When, you know what I'm saying, I forgot what the main character's name was. I'm gonna make sure, I forgot what the name of the movie was, but it was a slave movie to where, basically one of the slaves went from a more ruthless slave to somewhat a nicer slave. You still was a slave though. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't as stern with his slavery. You know what I'm saying? You still get whipped. He would have conversations with you. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. You still got your ass beat. You still got hung. But because you went from a less volatile and more hateful racist to someone that's just a little nicer with the racism, that's the mindset that we have. We think that nice racism is okay racism. It's still racism. Like, the idiocy and just the stupidity of us. We are literally people who we've been bred to think like this. You know what I'm saying? Because I spoke to my granddad. He said he didn't like Biden. He said he didn't like him either. Just the same, but he voted for him. The lesser of two evils thing. And, so he was talking, and he basically was like, I don't like the guy, but he's better than Trump. And I told him, like, and he had to agree with me. You understand what I'm saying? We the only people that have to think like that. The Asian doesn't think like that. The Arab doesn't think like that. You understand? We the only people that have to think of this lesser of two evil sort of vernacular. We're the only people in this American system that has to move somewhat on eggshells with every move that we make. And to see Van Jones on national TV crying because Trump's out of office, to sit here and think that that's gonna make shit better, it's just it shows how lost he is, how much of a puppeteer Negro he is, and he would do anything to sit here and make black people feel more comfortable under a new regime of slavery, because that's all this shit is. And you know what I'm saying, I've been also noticing all this gender divide tactics that they've been doing. You understand what I'm saying? They've been hitting us with this shit the past couple of years, but this election really are trying to create a gender divide between the black man and the black woman. And they've been saying that black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party, but I could have swore I saw a statistic that said 80% of black men went out and voted for Joe Biden. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out how there's this gender divide saying that black women basically were the backbone of the Democratic Party, but it just ignore black men, like black men didn't turn up. My granddad voted. My father-in-law voted. You know what I'm saying? My brother-in-law voted. I know a plethora of black men who went out and voted, but they get the middle finger because of this sister girl nonsense all these fools on social media keep trying to promote, saying that the black woman is this, and I'm 100% in support of the black woman, but I hate this whole gender divide shit. Like, the black woman and the black man need to be together. We don't need to be one is here, one is there. No, black people unanimously together showed up for Joe Biden. Places here like in Atlanta, black people got him to turn this from a red state to a blue state. You understand what I'm saying? I think it's in Pennsylvania. Black folk out there in Philly. You know what I'm saying? In Pittsburgh, they showed up in large numbers. Detroit, my hometown, went from a red state to a blue state. That's because of black people. That's not because of just the black woman. No, that's because the black man and the black woman was on the same page and unified for something. It's the only thing we ever seem to unify for, but unified to get Trump out of office. I hate this whole gender divide shit they be trying to do, because we fall for it every single time. We fall for this type of shit. You understand what I'm saying? We haven't grown up past these silly games the media likes to play. I've already pointed out who controls the media. The Jews, the J Mafia control the media. They control 90% of your media. So they're gonna be pushing this type of stuff at you, especially with this whole Me Too movement and shit like that, and people like Tarana Burke and other females who only like to speak on black female issues, but they don't want to sit here and talk about any of the other races. They only like to hone in on black people and talk about how black men are fucked up, but they never talk about white men. They never talk about they ain't talking about how white men and white women went out and voted for Trump in large number. They ain't talking about white women, but they talking about what black women did. They purposely try to create a gender divide between us, and we as black people need to wake the fuck up. You understand what I'm saying? Another thing happened. What this lady name is? I thought this shit was funny. Her name was Eva Longoria. So how do you say this fucking Latino's name? She got the nerve to get on national TV and sit here and say that, yeah, black women showed out in historic numbers. Yeah, black people did their thing, but the real heroines were Latino women or Latinx women. Like, come on, bro. Like, this goes to show the fact that they even want to promote this woman right now, when the whole country already knows what it is. The fact they will bring her on national TV and let her say something so stupid as that, and the dude was actually going with the narrative. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't disputing what she said. He was agreeing with what she said. And this just speaks to how America will use you and not do anything for you. You understand what I'm saying? When we was marching in the 50s, the 40s, 50s, and 60s, we were, it was not just a black woman out there with picket signs. It was not just the black man out there with picket signs. When we was in slavery, it was just not the black woman in slavery. It was just not the black man in slavery. It was the black man and the black woman in slavery. We together are going through this. It's not just each gender. It's not each gender going through different shit. No, we both are going through this shit. And this idiot, Eva, whatever the hell her last name is, did that shit on purpose, because that's how she truly feels. And that's fine if she feels that way, but don't sit here and try to promote that as if it's a truth or it's something that of substance, when it's bullshit. You get your ass on your little platform. She may have, I don't know if she got a YouTube show or she's a writer or whatever the hell she does. You go on your platform and you do that shit. You understand what I'm saying? But like I said, when the people who make the rules, they'll bring someone like her on to promote what she's trying to say. And essentially that was them basically slapping all black women in the face, saying, yeah, y'all helped us out, but we gonna bring this woman on and sit here and let her tell how we really feel about this shit. And that goes to my next point, man. So I touched on this last week. By the way, I'm not doing the whole money, power, respect thing this week. I wanted to touch specifically on some issues about this election and some of the stuff that has transpired this week. So this is going to be more so of a politics and more of a kind of current event sort of video. So just letting y'all know that. So what was last week I did touch in the video. Go watch it. The name of the video series is Money, Power, No Respect. America does not give a fuck about you. Go watch that shit. I'm talking about the Federal Reserve, the J Mafia, the Jews, who controls what, etc. But go watch that video. I said last week that they were planning to bring 11 million illegal immigrants. This is what they're planning to do. They're planning to bring in, and my goddamn birds will be doing that shit right now. Come on, they still chirping right now. Like, come on, my nigga. But anyway, Joe Biden is planning to he's planning to give citizenship and legalize 11 million illegal immigrants. This is true because another article came up and said that he's planning to legitimize and give citizenship to, I believe it was over 500,000 Indians, not the Native Americans, the Indians from India, and bring them into America. This, I think, came out, probably 3 or 4 days ago. I saw this shit, and this just speaks to, and he also made this point to say this will happen in the first 100 days of his presidency when he gets elected in. He has yet to sit here and speak on something specifically for black people. Why are these birds chirping? They don't ever do this in the video, but they chirping like a mug right now. Yo, these niggas is funny. They singing and shit right now. If you ever wondered what be in my background, it's these niggas. But anyway, goddamn. But yeah, he's planning basically to legalize 11 million illegal immigrants. He said this during his presidential campaign run, and it also came out that he's gonna legalize, I think, 4 or 5. I forgot what the number was. It was a big ass number. 4 or 5. It was 4 or 5, 40. I think it was 400 or 500,000 Indians he was going to legalize. What is Kamala Harris? She's East Asian or Indian mixed with Jamaicans. That comes, and it speaks to why she was somewhat elected. You know what I'm saying? When Obama was elected, they basically needed him because of his African roots. They needed him to basically open up trade in Africa again, because the trade that was done between Africa had been broken during the Bush administration. They got Kamala Harris in office basically to open up that trade with India, essentially. So again, they're going to bring Indians in, and they have yet to speak on a black agenda for you, essentially. This is that bait and switch game they continue to play. And I told people this is what got me essentially crucified on Twitter that one time when I said that Joe Biden was planning to bring in 11 million immigrants. And what people have to understand is when you bring in these 11 million immigrants, you're bringing in women, men, children, old people, etc. When you bring them in, you have to educate them. You have to give them citizenship. You have to give them social security cards. You have to give them, visa. This is money that the U.S. is going to have to spend just to legitimize these people. You have to give them jobs. You understand what I'm saying? You have to this is stuff you have to do for them. You can't just bring them over here and let them fend for themselves. No, when they bring them over here, it's money. That takes away from money and other etc. and expenses that could be going towards the African American community. Especially since we're in a so-called pandemic right now, they keep saying stuff is taking longer than ever to happen. So it's gonna take. This is what I'm saying. Black people don't think. You might have just voted yourself into not getting anything because the resources are already scarce enough. So you bringing in and legalizing more immigrants makes more resources scarce for you and your communities. But you went out and voted for this man when this is his plan all along, essentially. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, they have to bring them over here and give them jobs. What is black people's main thing? Most niggas don't have jobs. So now you're gonna give them the jobs? Like, come on. Let's be real here. They're gonna have the jobs now. You're gonna get pushed in. On top of that, they could pay them less of the money. Like, you coming over, you over here, you know what I'm saying? You may want to, want a job. I'm a meat cutter, so I'm gonna use meat cutting as an example. you've been cutting meat, let's say, I don't know, let's say about 6 years. You asking for $18 an hour. This little kid, Saeed from India or whatever the name is over there, he doesn't know. He knows how to cut the meat, because they do cut meat over there. He says, "Yo, you pay me 11, I'm good." Who gets the job? You live here in America. You've been cutting meat for 6 years, but because you have American experience, you say you want 18. Little homeboy from over there say, I take 11 or 12. He gonna get the job. And even if he doesn't offer 11 or 12, they're gonna lowball him. Why? Because he needs the job. He's gonna send back money back to his people. And also, he's also going to create an economy for his people here in America. People, we don't think like that. You understand what I'm saying? We sit here and go out and vote for everybody to get these benefits except us. I always say this: the Civil Rights Act or Civil Rights Bill that was passed in 1964 said that it would basically benefit everybody, no matter the race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, or national origin. It said it will benefit everybody, man. But we don't think about stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, when we have to be careful with these vague and ambiguous terms, minority. I'm probably gonna later on go into some of Biden's plans on immigration. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna hear some of the words minority and shit like that. But Jesus, I was talking about that. Yeah, man, this is essentially what they're going to do, and we don't really think about that stuff. We've been trained to vote Democrats for everything, when the Democrats' whole shtick, especially since Obama was legalizing immigrants. During Obama's administration, he basically helped 3 groups: immigrants, women, and LGBTQ issues. Those were the issues that he primarily focused on. Yeah, he passed the whole Healthcare Act, but like I said, when you sit here and you bring in all these immigrants and you start giving all of these people, doing bills for all of these people, especially the immigrants, they need healthcare, right? So you have to sit here and pass a healthcare act that's going to benefit them when they come into the country. You can't just bring these people over here and just not give them anything. No. Put the pieces together. This is the reason why Joe Biden was basically saying that Trump is gonna basically he's dismantling, he's tampering with immigration. He's gonna tear up Obamacare and shit like that. That's why he was so hard pressed on saying that, because his plan is to bring in more immigrants and keep Obamacare in place for them when they get over here. That's the reason why he kept being hard. Biden kept, you know what I'm saying, pounding Trump about the whole job thing, when Trump actually has basically helped Americans keep their jobs, but they don't really want to talk about that. But you understand what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother topic for another video. Yeah, man. Also, something that happened recently was the killing of a young man. Quan Charles. He was a 15-year-old boy. Damn, I forgot where he was or what the state was, but whatever the case is, I brought this up because Van Jones, with his crocodile tear having ass, was crying about how he feels he can, parent his kids better now that Trump's out of office. And then a couple of days after he gets out of office, this little boy here gets found beat up and found in a damn river. I mean, he got found in the cornfield, but his whole body was basically drenched in water. Now, the minute I heard this story, I already knew it was some white folk that did this shit. Why? Because white folks said they was gonna turn up when they boy did not get reelected. They already said that shit. So he said they found the little boy in the cornfield. Now, I don't know no Negroes that on a cornfield. You understand what I'm saying? So my mind automatically went to white people. Black people, we may throw a nigga in the dumpster. You may find a nigga, you know what I'm saying, in the back of an alley, back of a car. Not no fucking cornfield. That's white people doing that shit. And it just speaks to simply put the America's order of business. Racism. It does not matter who's in office. That is America's number one priority and stick racism against black people. If you have this melanated skin, if you have any ounces of melanin, and white people, they lack melanin, so this ain't for you. If you black, you automatically will be a target. It doesn't matter who's the president, who's the elected official. When you black, you fucked, essentially. And this goes to the whole bait and switch argument, basically, that I've tried to make, and others like me try to make, how they'll sit here and, you know what I'm saying, pander to you about how bad Trump is just to get you to go out and vote. And then sit here and say, well, we're going to do this for all minorities, and we're going to do this to help systematic racism, you know, against minority communities and all that other type of bullshit with them minority words. Like, I could have swore I sat here and heard Joe Biden say we need to fight systemic racism against black and brown. But black people always the one getting killed by the police. We the ones that's always sitting here getting killed by these, you know what I'm saying, race soldiers. It's always us, but they sit here and say black and brown or people of color. But we fall for that shit. We've been falling for that the past 40, 60 years, and we haven't come to the realization yet that, no, you need to put policies in place specifically for black people. And they have not done that yet. I've already let you know what Biden's game plan is. Let's actually touch on some of his game plans right quick, because I actually have some of them. Hold on right quick. Let me pull these up. These are Biden's 5 executive orders, and this is on Forbes.com. It was posted November 8th. President-elect Joe Biden plans to sign these 5 executive orders when he becomes president. One thing is the Paris Climate Accord. Basically, Biden wants to continue to build under Obama's efforts to fight climate control. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Some people like that, how that sounds. Cool. But that's one of his basically first 5 things he's going to do in office. Fight climate control. He's going to put number 2 on this is he's going to put the U.S. back into the World Health Organization, you know, due to COVID-19, because Trump pulled us out of it. Cool. All right. He's gonna basically remove the travel ban on Muslim countries. So again, that's another minority issue that he's gonna essentially attack. He basically is gonna reinstate the Dreamers program, which allows the children of undocumented immigrants to remain in the U.S. What more can I say about that? That's 2 immigrant laws back to back. Number 5, military ban. He's basically going. Oh my God, he's basically going to repeal the transgender military ban, because Trump didn't allow transgenders into the U.S. military. So again, another minority bill, another minority issue he's going to tackle. He hasn't said anything again about what he's going to do for black people. Period. This is his first 5 executive orders: climate control, COVID-19, and 3 minority issues. Again, when are we gonna wake up? I'm gonna make sure to put this the screenshot. I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna try to put the link in the description, so you can go read the shit for yourself. And that's simply put what it is. Now, where else do I want to go with this here? Now we know, according to something in, I believe it was the 50s or the 60s, called the benign neglect policy. I think I might have spoken on this before. It speaks to why these politicians never, ever, ever, ever do anything or speak on anything specifically for black people. Look the policy up. It's called benign neglect. And I think me and a brother on Twitter, me and him was building on this, and he was looking for a wiki leak that the Black Authority had put on Twitter. Not on Twitter. He had said he had a wiki leak in one of his videos a couple of days or a week or 2 ago, about how the Democrats basically are not going to do anything specific for black people. I don't need that WikiLeaks to really prove my point, because we can look at each of these politicians, from JFK to Bush to Ronald Reagan, to all of them, to all of their policies. None of them have positively affected black people, and they have not done anything specifically for black people. But I did find the WikiLeaks for the brother. It was released. I don't know. There might be a recent one, but I found one from 2015, and the WikiLeaks basically stated that, Black Lives Matter. Don't support any of these Black Lives Matter people. You know what I'm saying? Meet with them, but do not give them anything that they demand, essentially. Yeah. And this was in 2016 when Hillary was running, and you can tell that the same sort of vernacular and propaganda is being played out during this election, because Joe Biden did a tweet basically saying he wanted to thank I think it was African American women in the African American community. He said that he's gonna look out, but he still has yet to say anything specifically that he's gonna do to help us. So I'm like, excuse me, well, what are you gonna do? Because black people turned up in large numbers for you. I think they even saying he turned up in more, that black people turned up more for him than Obama, which I don't believe, but that's what they saying. But this nigga still ain't said he gonna do shit yet. He's doing all these little speeches and got all these little executive orders being said about what he gonna do, and he ain't said shit yet, man. This is the bait and switch game that they like to sit here and play on us. Where do I want to go next from here? Because like I said, the whole benign neglect thing, and this also goes to something me and another two brothers was speaking about on Twitter. I want to let everybody know I am in support of reparations. I don't think that's a secret on this channel, but I do 100% promote group economics on this channel. I am a supporter of Tariq Nasheed, Claud Anderson, and every black leader that I can think of that really gives a fuck about our community. Let me say that, because there's some black leaders who sold us out, but I am a supporter of all of them. So me and this brother was getting at it on Twitter. You understand? We was talking about the importance of reparations, and I was letting the brother know, and we're not really disagreeing on the importance of reparations, but what I was telling him is that group economics essentially should be the main priority for black people. And I've told a series of black people this the past week or so. There are 42 million black people in America. I'm gonna say that again. There are 42 million black people here in America. If each black person, let's say, gives $10 right now, that's $420 million that of capital money that black people have at their disposal. Killer Mike just said he just basically started a bank. If each black person, as of right now, gave that man $10, all 42 million of us, that's $420 million in a black bank. We can do so many things with that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we can sit here and build a hospital. You know what I'm saying? We can literally build a community with, not really a community, a city with that kind of money. You understand what I'm saying? We can get, right here in Georgia. We could do with that money here in Atlanta. You understand what I'm saying? If every black person across the United States say, you know what, we gonna build our own, we're gonna fund this. Group economics is so important. Yes, reparations is important, and you know what I'm saying, being in politics is important, but being in politics means nothing if you don't have group economics, if you're not practicing it. Because I can sit here and get a $50,000 check from the U.S. government for reparations, but most niggas is gonna fuck that shit off. That's number one. Number two, if I don't trust my brother right here, across the street, and we don't build, and we don't, we sit here compete with one another instead of trying to build with one another, what's the point of having the money? Group economics and trust in one another should be first priority for black people. It's simply put because we don't trust one another. You understand what I'm saying? I think a man by the name of King Von got killed out of Chicago. He got killed by another brother. Look at the shit we do to ourselves. If we sat here and practiced group economics and trusted one another, we wouldn't be doing that shit. You understand what I'm saying? We have to trust one another. Trust is something I tell black people we need to do. Stop sitting here worrying about the next man making more money than you. No, we don't own any major businesses. We have plumbers, we have electricians, we have engineers, we have train yard workers, we have people who know how to drive forklifts, we have black accountants, we have black welders, we have black carpenters, we have black woodworkers, we have black people who know how to manufacture bullets. We have black people who know how to do trade, practice economics. We have black people that are in politics. We have black people in every single facet of America's social, in every single job description in America. There's no reason why we can't pull all of them together and create our own city, essentially. Black Wall Street, I'm always going to use that as an example. They had an airport there. Do you know the type of community effort they had to have an airport in Oklahoma? You understand? Like imagine that you had to have people who knew how to do diagrams for planes, essentially. That means black people had to basically create the pathway for the planes to go down. So they had to build the buildings, which means they had to have architects. They had to have people who knew math, essentially, to do that. You know, so they had a doctor's office, which means they had nurses. You know, so they had caretakers. They had banks, which means you understand what I'm saying? Like, we have all that to this day, but we don't practice group economics. We have all that, essentially. We have everything that we need to have our own community and fund our own communities. But everybody goes to work for the white man. None of us sit here and build our own. Every single thing that we need, we get it from the white man. If we need food, we get it from the white man. If we need, clothes, we get it from the white man. We go to a white store to get the money from the white man. If we go to the grocery store, we're getting food from a white man's farm, essentially. His seeds. We don't control any seeds. We don't control any cotton or any forms of knitting. We don't have to control any of that shit on a national scale, yet alone an international scale. So my shirt, so I have on a Michigan State shirt. This is white people. My chain, I have an Ankh on. I already know a black person did not come up with did not create this Ankh. Somebody white, I already know. Yeah, I'm all about black power, but I have a Ankh that was made by a white dude. Again, we own no infrastructure. Businesses and group economics and being one with your community is a priority, people. Reparations, we gonna get it. We need, in my opinion, we need to do both. We need to be practicing group economics now and pushing for reparations because the government owes us that shit. You understand? 400 or 500 years of this shit, yeah, they owe us. They, I know a bunch of shit they did to us. They raped us, stole our name, stole our language, stole our religion, stole our name of God. They did a whole bunch of inhumane shit to us. Nobody got to sit here and explain to me what the fuck was going on because they basically took our free labor and basically funded all of their infrastructures. I think it was Jim Beam or Jack Daniels, whatever one it was. Liquor, black man. I already touched on that. I think Chase Manhattan was influential in the slave trade. You understand? There's a bunch of companies that was around during slavery and that's promoted slaves and had slaves. So everybody already knows where I stand on the whole reparations thing. But I'm saying we as black people gotta have the same mindset of the people who was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who understood that I'm not finna wait on white people to give me something. I'm gonna just do it myself. There's nothing wrong with fighting for reparations. I'm 100% for it. But group economics works, and clearly it works if you had a Black Wall Street. The problem with us is we're too fucking nice. You understand what I'm saying? Like, too goddamn nice. We want to sit here and kumbaya with everybody and hold hands and a bunch of other shit. But I forgot who said this, but you know what I'm saying? On Sunday mornings, the churches are the most segregated places on the planet. So segregation still is practiced to this day, because I grew up in a church. All black people in my church that I grew up in. Each church I went to, black. White people did their own thing at their churches. So I sat here to say that segregation never ended. It just transformed into church, because white people look at the European Jesus as God. And when I go to some of our churches, the European Jesus is the God that I see. Though we may sit here and say that he's black, we have a white portrait of Jesus in our churches. But that's another topic for another day. Bottom line is, group economics, unity, doing for self is something that we need to do. That's why I started this YouTube channel, essentially. I didn't start this YouTube channel to pander to white people. That's not my goal. If a white person comes on here and sees this and they agree with the information, more power to them. But I'm not trying to prove anything to white people. You shouldn't want. As a black person, you shouldn't want to prove anything to white people. You stand on your square and give them the middle finger if they tell you to move out your square. Essentially, group economics. I'm going to touch on some of Claud Anderson's work, because I think that we need to give the OG his flowers while he's still here, because a lot of the stuff that a lot of these you know what I'm saying, older people like Shahrazad Ali, Francis Cress Wilson, Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, a lot of the stuff they said, you know what I'm saying, the 80s, 70s, and 90s, a lot of the little issues and stuff, topics they touched on back then, essentially, you can find them being prevalently in today's society. I think it was Shahrazad Ali and Francis Cress Wilson. They talked about how, you know, this America was, I think it was Francis Cress Wilson specifically, talked about how they were at some point they're gonna be having men in dresses. Essentially, they're gonna basically swap the genders, have men acting like women and women acting like men. You understand? I think Shahrazad Ali said even in the 90s that, you know what I'm saying, that the system basically makes black women have disdain and resentment towards black men and have them feel that they're better than us, essentially, that we're not equal, but that black women are better. And this is so prevalent in today's society because you have so many independent black women who say they don't need a man. But that's me pandering. I'm at 42 minutes. But let's touch on some of Dr. Claud Anderson's work. I recommend everybody get Powernomics and get Black Labor, White Wealth, or whatever the name of the book is. White Labor, Black Wealth. No, I'm saying it wrong. Black Labor, White Wealth. Get both of those books. He has something called a 5-story building theory. Not really theory, but he says something that black people need to build a 5-story building. Theoretically speaking, though, this is what we need to. This is a plan we need to implement. Story number 1, first floor, business and economics. You need to control your economics, essentially. Control businesses and industries and pull your money in and hold that money. Again, when we look at the Chinese and the Arab, their money bounces at least 12 to 18 times before it leaves this community. When we look at the Jews, the white European Jew, his money bounces damn near 18 to 20 times before it leaves this community. Black folk, as soon as we get some money, think we spend it somewhere else. I can't lie. Today I went and got some milk. I went to Family Dollar. Don't know a nigga own Family Dollar. That's a white dude. I don't know a nigga that I personally don't know a black owned grocery store. And I live in Atlanta, and I'm sure it's one, but if it is, it's probably like 20-30 minutes away from me. It's more convenient for me to go to Family Dollar, which is 2 minutes away. We own no major corporations. You understand what I'm saying? It's a Walmart down the street. It's a Kroger down the street. I live right next to Sam's Club. White. None black. But let's keep it pushing. The next thing that we need to do is, after the first floor of group economics and pooling in all the money and building up our infrastructures, then we go to politics. Basically, you take the money that you got from your first floor and put that into politics. You buy politicians. Politics is basically about distributing the resources from the government. That's essentially what it is. I pretty much pointed that out, how Joe Biden is going to give the resources of America to illegal immigrants and not give shit to you when you voted for them. But you basically, with the money from the first floor, and then and you put that money into politics. You buy politicians, you lobby, you create super PACs, you rent politicians, get them to do what you need them to do. You understand what I'm saying? We sit here and just forget about group economics and go straight to the second floor and just jump straight into politics. Politics is money. Every other group does this. They take the money that they get from the first floor and push it into politics. I'm gonna say this again. You never see a Chinese dude getting shot by a police officer. You never see an Arab dude. You may see a Mexican dude every now and again, or a Latino or Hispanic every now and again, but you never ever see a Chinese, a Jew, or Arab, or none of that police brutality shit happening to them. You only see it happening to us. Why? Because they make sure that they can control the politics in their community where that shit ain't happening to them. Now, what's the third floor? The third floor is police and the court systems. Now, one of our biggest issues is we can't seem to ever do shit when we're killed by the police. If you control the court system, you can, in the police department, you can get some of these niggas locked up and fired, and it can easily stop. But you don't control no money. You march. Marching is never really proven to do anything, essentially. They don't give a shit if you march. March for what? You're marching to stop you're marching to the white man to get the white man to stop doing shit to you. What type of logic is that? The fourth floor is media. Now, this is a huge one for me, because to me, we own no media outlets. Oprah Winfrey may have a TV show, but she is not the boss of that shit. Byron Allen controls the Weather Channel. It's a national weather channel. He owns no major media corporations. We own no major media corporation. Diddy has Revolt TV. I think that's probably the only independent one, but nonetheless, it's still funded by white money. So what can he do? This is the reason why you have the Revolt conference. Nothing gets done because it's funded by white money. All these AT&T and sponsors and shit, do you really sit here and think that they gonna let Diddy really have a conference about black empowerment? No. If that's the case, he would have had Claud Anderson there. The nigga's plan I'm implementing, he would have had him there. He would have had Tariq Boyce Watkins there. He would have had Yvette and Tone there. He would have had some serious people who know what the fuck they talking about there. Did he have him there? No. He would have had Brother Kaba there. He would have had Judge Joe Brown there. People who know what the hell they talking about. But did he have him there? No. He had people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. He had celebrities there. No disrespect to celebrities, but he didn't have anyone there who's an expertise in African liberation, essentially. Yeah, he had Killer Mike there, but there's only so much he really can say. But nonetheless, let's keep it pushing. The fifth floor is education. Now, black folk are more educated than ever, but we are more stupid than ever. This goes to floor number 1, and I think KRS-One pointed on this. Talked about this at one point. We have a lot of brilliant minds, a lot of them. We really have a lot of great, brilliant minds and scholars. But the paycheck that they get from their job is going to determine what comes out of that great and brilliant mind. Basically put, I may know all the shit that's being done to African Americans. Let's take Van Jones, for instance. I may know everything that's being done, but what's the point in speaking the truth if I'm going to lose my job in the process and I can't fund my family? Steve Harvey spoke on this at one point. You understand what I'm saying? At some point, you can't say certain things. Why is that? Because you don't control none of the businesses. If you work for a black man who will let you say what you need to say, then your problem is solved. Our problem is that we can't say what we need to say without risk of being fired. Yeah, I'm making a YouTube video. Yeah, I own the content of this video, but if I upload it to YouTube, somebody on YouTube decides to flag it and say that it's hate speech, video gets taken down, or you lose your channel. Look what happened to Nick Cannon. Nick is my dude, but look what happened to him. He was speaking the truth with Griff. I agree with everything the nigga said. White people aren't the real Jews, though I don't subscribe to the whole Abrahamic tradition. If we're going based off of what the biblical scripture and literature says, then realistically speaking, black people would be the Jews. I also agree that white people, due to their lack of melanin, have a sort of savagery to them. And I would tell a white person that and just sit here and say, that's not me sitting here saying that. That's what your white scholars have said about yourselves. I have a book called The Iceman Inheritance. I recommend you get that. It speaks about what white people have done throughout history. And not to mention all the shit that white people have done to black people throughout the years. How is it wrong for me to call you that? When you went to my country, took me out of my country, and enslaved me. And not to mention some of y'all was eating us. So like I said, anyway, when you don't control anything, that is what happens. So again, I'm gonna give a little recap. First floor is business. Second floor, politics. Third floor is the police and the courts. Fourth floor is media. Fifth floor is education. And you know what I'm saying? Like I said, education is a huge one, but the first one, first and foremost, is businesses. There's a reason why you don't need a business degree to start a business. You understand? I think Elon Musk, I think even what his name is, I think it was either Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or one of these fool white dudes. They didn't even go to the business school, but they own multi-billion-dollar corporations. And then they hired niggas that did go to school for business to run their business, but they started the business without a business degree. But they tell us we need to go to school to start businesses. No, that's what I'm saying. Businesses and economics is first and foremost. Black people, like we're not a poor country. If you take all the money that we spend in a year and put that shit in the bank account, or take, maybe if you take all of the money that we make in a year salary wise, or you know what I'm saying, all together we make in a year, that is like the 7th or 6th richest nation on the planet. The problem is not that we don't have no money, it's how we spend it. We don't spend it with one another. We don't. We spend it with white people. White people own pretty much everything in this country, essentially. They own all the ports. They own everything. You own nothing. Therefore, you continue to make them richer, but then complain about racism to them. That's an ass backwards mentality. Do for self. The Chinese understand that. Again, they understand that shit. Do for self. The Arab understands that. Do for self. We the only people that say, well, let's include everybody in our struggle, but they don't include you in their gain from you fighting for their struggle. Like I said, we're too fucking nice. Do I want to keep going? Yeah, why not? Let's keep going. So, let's talk about another example of how this government essentially plays propaganda with us. Now, I live in Atlanta. Atlanta is probably the hub of the South for highways. I'm pretty sure people have heard of Sweet Auburn here in Atlanta. We had basically our own Black Wall Street here in Atlanta. What happened to that? It got the highway essentially got thrown on top of that shit. We can look at Detroit. Detroit's black metropolis was what was the name of it? It was called Black Bottom and Paradise Valley. Highway got thrown on top of that shit. Community's gone. They basically ran highways through all of our infrastructures. And let me put it to you this way, why couldn't we do anything to stop it? Essentially because, again, We didn't know any better. Our minds was not astute to what was really finna happen with us. You understand what I'm saying? We wanted to integrate. That's what I try to tell Negroes when they sit here and say, well, let's integrate. They basically took the highways, storming your community, kept the jobs, you know what I'm saying, downtown, and the freeways would send basically white people to the suburbs. Just where you get suburbs from, essentially. There was no suburbs. They created suburbs and then left our communities become the neighborhood. And as Claud Anderson says, they took the neighbor out of it and now it's just a hood. I grew up in the hood. I'm from Detroit. I'm from West Side, 6 miles. It's a hood, essentially. You understand what I'm saying? The freeway. I remember the freeway was 2 blocks from my house. You understand? Literally, the freeway was 2 blocks from my house. Big ass freeway right there in the black community. And you could take the freeway to either get to Dearborn, you get to Southfield, you could get to wherever you wanted to go where white people would be, essentially. But it was ran right through a black neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying? And they basically did this because, like I always say, white people have conferences and discussions about basically what they're gonna do to basically fuck with or keep black people down. In the 1956 Highway Act, basically a group of auto trustees basically had an entrance, had a conference essentially, and the conference in the 1930s, and they had the Highway Users Conference. Make sure to put this shit in the video. GM basically kind of displayed to them how a highway system would look here in America, and that's basically how that went. President Eisenhower is the one who basically implemented the Federal Highway Act, and basically it would connect the businesses, and I already said this, it would connect the businesses in the city to the suburbs, to where white people essentially would stay. Essentially, major highways will cut through black neighborhoods. If you go to downtown, if you live in Atlanta, go to downtown Atlanta right now, you're gonna see if you go from, what's the name of that street? I forgot what the name of it is. But literally, if you ever go downtown and you go get out of Atlanta, out of downtown Atlanta, everything is a desolate black neighborhood at that point. It's the hood essentially, but it's literally right next to the central hub of money for Atlanta, downtown. That was no accident in them doing that. And then you can go to Marietta, you can go to Buckhead, you can go to Johns Creek, white areas, suburbs essentially. It's no mistake by that. They did that shit on purpose. It was to destroy the black community during the 50s and the 60s. In Detroit, the neighborhood I was talking about, Black Bottom and Paradise Valley, they shit ain't even the neighborhood. It's just grassland essentially at that point, because all the shit got tore the fuck down and burnt down during the rise to the 60s essentially. And this just speaks to, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that we don't know about our government and what it does to us, and why I tell black people, you need to control your money and you need to control your politics, and then everything follow that 5-story building. And I think I'm gonna end it there for the video. I have a lot more, but I ain't want to make this video that long. But nonetheless, man, black people, wake the fuck up, please. Wake up. There is a game of charade being played on us that most of us are aware of and are trying to tell other people who are unaware of it to become aware of it. The government does not give a fuck about you if you black. I've already highlighted this. They do not. So, with that being said, like and subscribe to the video. Shout out to every subscriber I have. And black people, please stop being so naive. If somebody comes to you, I need to say this in this video. If somebody comes to you with information that you are unaware of, don't be so quick to shoot it down. Don't be so quick to call them a conspiracy theorist. Don't be so quick to sit here and just dismiss what they say. That's our problem. We sit here and take new information as some sort of a sin to have new information. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's against our morals to have new information if it comes from somebody black, but if it comes from a white university, we're fine with it. Like I said, we have all these degrees, but if I come to you with something like this Highway Act, it's a conspiracy theorist. Alright, cause my fucking video feed cut out. But anyway, man, well, that's what I was saying is, man, don't label people as a conspiracy theorists. Trust black people, man. With we gotta. This goes to what I was saying earlier, man. Excuse me. We gotta trust one another. The trust in one another has been purposely bred out of us. If I come to you with some new information, don't take it as me trying to somewhat go against what you know. What we as black people are gonna have to do is we're gonna have to unlearn and relearn some things again. Essentially, we have to evolve our mindsets. Essentially, the old way in thinking of things. Not to say that it doesn't work, but we have to try new things. This is why, you know what I'm saying, I told, you know what I'm saying, the brother on Twitter that, you know what I'm saying, that yes, reparations, push for that is cool, but we need to be willing to try anything. Essentially, group economics, push for reparations, but more importantly, trust one another. America purposely has us so divided. Prime fucking example, the disrespect. Luckily my video feed cut out, so I could actually go on Instagram and point this out for a second. But they got Kamala Harris in a image, in a distilled image with the Ruby Rose. This goes to, like I said, the type of shit America does to us that we're unaware of. Essentially, Ruby Rose comes from a foundational American background. I believe her father was a sharecropper, and I forgot what her mother did or whatever the case. Bottom line is, she descends from slaves. Essentially, she's an American descendant of slaves. In other words, they put her walking alongside Ruby Rose's shadow. Well, I think Ruby Rose was so-called had to walk to school. The disrespect behind that, and I see Negroes parading this image all around, talking about, yeah, this is progress. No, that's disrespect. But if I come to you saying that it's disrespect, don't take that as me sitting here trying to somewhat be in hindrance of the achievement of the so-called first African American woman, because she's not. If I tell you that she's, like I said, East Indian and Asian, her allegiance is not to you. Like I said, I try to wake black people up, and other black people do as well. We're not being divisive. Well, I guess you would say we are being divisive, but we're trying to make you aware of certain things. And that's essentially why I had to repunch this in. You understand? We have to make black people aware of certain things. I have to make black people aware of what Malcolm stood for, Ida B. Wells stood for, Sojourner Truth stood for, Claud Anderson. Like I said, I use his talking points. These are people who are riders. When the media basically promotes these certain black civil rights leaders, usually they sold you out. I think Frances Cress Wilson said this at one point. She could have made a lot more money, because she was, I think she was a psychologist or something like that. She could have made a lot more money writing books about white, shit like that, and writing this normal psychology book. She said she took a pay cut to speak specifically to the African American social and mental issues and social issues and shit like that. She took a pay cut. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, they took pay cuts. These are people you do not know about. These are real civil rights icons. You understand what I'm saying? You don't know about them. No disrespect to John Lewis, but he is not as impactful. He's not as impactful as the people I just named. He's just not. These are people that literally have served at the feet of black people, and some of them died broke. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why I sit here and say we have to honor our ancestors. We have to honor them. That's why I'm getting people's books. That's why I always promote black businesses and shit like that. We have to become our ancestors. Outstreet, shout out to KRS-One. We have to become our ancestors. I'm both Booker T. Washington And I what the other dude name? I forgot what his name was, but whatever the case is, the dude that he had problems with. I'm both of them. I'm both Malcolm and Martin. You understand what I'm saying? I'm both, essentially. I believe that we should, you know what I'm saying, fight for equality, but I also think that we should fight for equality separate from this governmental structure we should do for self in fighting for equality. You understand what I'm saying? But bottom line is, man, like I said, I'm trying to get black people to wake the fuck up. And don't think of it as me being hurtful when I give information to you, or any black person, essentially, because there's more to learn than what is being promoted to you by the dominant society. And that's why that goes to, like I said, who controls the media and shit. Whoever controls the media or controls the thinking page is going to control the thinking of the age. But nonetheless, man, let me get up out of here. I'm gonna cut this video off. See, my camera's starting to fuck up now. But like, subscribe to the video. Peace.